the fun story, the fun block. We got some numbers on CNN Plus, and it's even worse than we possibly thought.
Yes, it is.
This is from TechCrunch, actually. So not some crazy outlet that looked into a little bit of how their launch is going. Let's put this up there on the screen. CNN Plus launched on April 29th and is already showing mediocre results in terms of standalone mobile
relatively
app.
kind characterization,
Sensor
to be honest
Tower
with you.
released its initial figures that show the CNN app, which now houses the streaming service, added about 18,000 installs on the day of launch. During the 7 days ending on March 22nd, it had an average of 9,000 installs per day. Now, the reason this matters is because, as we already showed you, CNN is already throwing millions of dollars in subsidy towards their lifetime subscription on this. And another one that they point to within here, Krystal, which is crazy, is that one person familiar with the numbers said that Warner Media has spent $100 million already to market CNN Plus. And just to remind you, from the internal numbers already reported over at Puck News, they need 5 million people to sign up for this thing in the first year, and 10 million overall in order to make it commercially viable. That's insane. That's not gonna happen. That would be on par with a legitimate cable membership. And so when you look at this and you see the number of installs, it's a relatively good proxy for the level of enthusiasm. And if the 100 million can only buy you a 50% overall baseline increase in the installation of the app, and that doesn't necessarily tell us the actual subscription, but is pretty directly correlated as they point to here, this is a total disaster.
It honestly
gigantic disaster.
It honestly might overstate the subscription.
Right.
They go out of their way in this article to say this isn't a complete picture because there's other ways to access it, et cetera, et cetera. But as you all know, just downloading an app doesn't mean that you actually put in your credit card number and paid for the service.
That's right.
You can download the app and then open it up and be like, oh shit, I gotta pay for this? No, thank you. That happens a lot. So even the 18,000 guys, that is nothing on the first day, is potentially an overstatement of the number of subscriptions that they actually got. And not only was there marketing budget, $100 million, which is more than what the network apparently typically spends in a year. A CNN exec said that the launch budget was $250 million. A $250 million to get like 10,000 subscribers.
And here's the other one, Krystal, which they point to, just in order to give everybody a good proxy, which is that on the, remember Quibi, that failed video app? They spent over $1 billion?
Yeah.
Guess what? They had 300,000 install on their app on the very first day. When Disney Plus reached 4 million on their very first day. So CNN is now at 18,000 on its very first day. Catastrophe.
Yeah.
And again, that doesn't even mean that those people are paying.
Getting beat by Quibi, that's bad.
Yeah, not just getting beat like many times over. So, okay, according to the CEO, Jason Kilar, when he was asked about CNN Plus, he won't give you any numbers, but he says it is ahead of my expectations in terms of where the subscribers are.
That's credible, Saagar.
The other person says, we are off to a very strong start. I couldn't feel better about the journalism, the storytelling, the team, the product experience. And they also said that they were very happy. This is a statement from the company. We are very happy with the launch of CNN Plus, and our first, they underlined and bolded very, by the way. Our first week's performance is well ahead of expectations.
That's how you know it's true.
Audience has already indicated their love and interest of our programming, and we will continue to serve them more of it. We cannot comment on subscriber numbers as they are not public at this time.
If they were really happy with the numbers, you would know it. They would be all over the place.
Of course they would. And that is how every business operates. Look, it's obvious that this is a colossal boondoggle and a failure. And I have been watching some of the stuff that they at least put out publicly. We're talking about Reliable Sources Daily with Brian Stelter. This is a man whose own show's ratings went up whenever he went on vacation. So now they have him on a daily. And in terms of the people that he's booking, I mean, these are absolute, I was just telling you today, the latest segment from Reliable Sources Daily was like, straight white men are doing too well in this world. I'm like, oh wow, that's some content I really gotta pay for. can't hear that for free in our current media environment. It just shows you. The Jake Tapper Book Club, I mean, they're flying to Los Angeles, filming these things at crowded restaurants. They've got Dolly Parton. Wow, I've never heard that one before. Chris Wallace. Have you guys heard of any of the interviews that the man has done? He had some like congressman or whatever
had William
on the show.
Shatner on.
William Shatner. Wow, I'm gonna pay for that.
What was our launch budget, Saagar?
Our launch budget. Actually,
how much did we pay for the table? This was like
well,
the
this
most
was like
this
10 grand.
Yeah.
This was like 10 grand, which we had to put on the credit card. What else? I guess the rest of the set, all the other startup expenses. I don't know, probably 50.
Yeah.
Something like that. Yeah, 50,000. Which by the way,
which was a lot.
At the time.
Which was a heavy lift.
I was like, oh, God.
It was a heavy lift.
Yeah, you're looking at your credit card budget
and secure the studio.
Yeah, between all that, I guess it was about 50 grand.
Yeah.
So there you go.
I can't do the math, but we can figure out what a percentage of 250 million that is. I mean, the thing is, they're like high on their own supply. No one outside of the CNN building would think that people would pay for this.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you have a network that is basically like on in the background as a default. That in no way indicates that people care about what your totally interchangeable and forgettable personalities have to say.
Yeah.
And so they just fundamentally misunderstood what it looks like to compete in an actual marketplace. I mean, they basically have like a sort of monopoly position in terms of the CNN cable channel, where it's just the default. It's a rigged market. People have very few choices, and that's what's on at the airport or whatever. When you actually have to get people to affirmatively choose to watch your content, that is an entirely different ballgame. And especially when you look at like the ratings on the thing that people have no choice but to watch are dismal and terrible. So what made you think that it was worth spending $250 million on just like more of that? It really is mind-boggling. And I think once again is a very compelling case against the idea that we have anything approaching a meritocracy in this country, because the people that are running the show, they are not too quick on the uptake here.
Yeah, they're not quick as at all. And remember, they're so desperate, they're buying dynamic ads that ended up somehow on our Breaking Points podcast, just to show you that we have no say over that, because they're trying to target all of you. It's just funny. It's because, again, I said it, but the only reason that we are even able to thrive, be successful, and have an audience is because they suck so much.
Mm-hmm.
But they don't seem to understand that. The entire existence of alternative and independent media is a direct response to the utter vacuousness of the current mainstream. So just again, that's how it is. They'll never learn their lesson in terms of how they are so reviled by the actual free market. And don't forget, they're going to try and rig this.
Yeah,
because
that's right.
They are going to try and make it so that they'll try and cancel all their opponents. They're going to fake their numbers. They're probably going to roll it in to HBO Max.
Yep.
And the reason this matters is because this is the future. They know they're dying. They know that streaming is the future, and they know they're going to lose. And so what do you do when you have a goblet of money from a fake rigged system like cable?
Yeah.
What do? You spend that in order to crush your opponents.
Yeah, no, that's right. Their lesson from wasting $250 million on this launch is not going to be, oh, maybe we should try a different approach. It's going to be, how do we rig this system the way that we rigged the other system? That will be the direction that they go in. And you already see it. I mean, that's part of what this whole censorship push is about, is to push anything that's not the elite sanctioned media out of the mainstream and make it yucky and make it unacceptable and suppress it in the algorithm and make it so you can't find it. They're just going to continue to go in that direction. So even though it's fun to laugh at and it's a dramatic failure, it does not mean that it doesn't also pose an existential threat to independent media. Cable news is ripping us apart, dividing the country, making it impossible to function as a society, and making it impossible to know just what is true and what is false. But the good news is they are failing and they know it.
That is why we're building something new, a new mainstream, a healthier one, something more trustworthy, something that we are going to need in one of the most pivotal times in American history. We are building up here for the midterms, for the upcoming presidential election, but we need your help. So if you can help us out by becoming a premium member today at breakingpoints.com, we're trying to change America for the better and the entire world.
So what are you waiting for, guys? Go to breakingpoints.com and sign up and help us build a new mainstream.